All right, we're going to call the meeting to order at 6:30, right on the dot. Please join me in prayer if everyone can stand. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this evening, Lord, and thank you that we get to come together and be Canyon Lakers, Lord, and hopefully influence and do some good things for our community. Thank you for the holidays, Lord. Please be with all the families, for our first responders, Lord, but more importantly, as the sickness goes out throughout not only our community but the country, Lord, just help everyone to be well, be safe, and in your name, amen. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Green, will you lead us in the pledge?
Please put your hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Madam Clerk, will you please conduct the roll call?
Councilmember Castillo. Here. Councilmember Dane.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Green.
Here.
Councilmember Welty.
Here.
Mayor Smith.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, is there anything to report out of closed session?
Thank you, Mayor. We have nothing to report on the listed item on closed session. However, I did want to note that before closed session started, the City Council voted by a vote of 5-0 to add one item to closed session, initiation of litigation.
Perfect.
And I would like to report that by a vote of 5-0, the City Council authorized our office to initiate that litigation.
Thank you for the update, Mr. City Attorney. Moving along, Mr. City Manager, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Perfect. I need a motion and a second on the agenda.
I'll make a motion. Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Welty, and we have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Green. Madam Clerk, can I please get a roll call on this?
Councilmember Castillo. Aye. Councilmember Dane.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Green.
Aye.
Councilmember Welty.
Aye.
Mayor Smith.
Aye, we're moving right along, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
All right, this is what happens when we have no one in the audience. My favorite part, ceremonial matters. This is going to be Citizen of the Month. We get to present this award to our good friend Art Feemister. So can you please join me up here and we'll give a little certificate to you. Is there a mic ready? Perfect. Thank you. Perfect. I'm going to have you stand over here if that's okay. All right, Art. Very pleased to do this. I think most of us here know the involvement that Art has had in our community. Most recently, Art became a volunteer for the Sheriff's Department and helped out with our Veterans Day Parade, which I know everyone here was a part of that. So we just want to say as a council, thank you so much for your hard work, your dedication to Canyon Lake. It goes so much farther than just your involvement as a volunteer for the Sheriff's Department. You also inform the community on everything that is going on throughout social media, and we're so blessed to have someone like Art who's willing to do that, who allows input from both sides, no matter what it is. You never pick sides. You tell what's happening. You give the update. You're so positive, and we just really appreciate that. So it's my honor to present this as the Citizen of the Month on behalf of myself and my colleagues behind us. Thank you so much for your dedication. Please continue to do so. So thank you.
Thank you.
First one of the year.
First one of the year.
I thought this was for the year.
January 5th.
This isn't for the year?
You got a couple things to say?
No, I'm good.
Are you sure?
I just want to liberate. No, there's no one here. I feel silly on this. Yeah. Actually, it's kind of like a party. Oh, there you go. In that case, well, yeah, now that we're here, everybody. So. I just want to let everybody know how honored and humbled I am by this, and thank you very much. And as I was telling Jill, 7 years ago when we first moved here, we knew it's a beautiful community, but we didn't realize was the beauty of the people. And I started thinking about why is that in Corona? We only knew the people on the left and right of us, but here we know probably half the people on that, and that's because of the work of the city does inside here. When you have those winter festival parades and the Veterans Day Parade, people come together and you stand there and you just start talking. Hey, how you doing, girl? What's your name? And next thing you know, that's another friend to the boat parade party list on that. They know people and everything else. And as I was jokingly saying, it's sad in some cities, the only time people come together is when there's crime scene tape. And then you see all the giraffe heads looking around like that. And then the police come over and ask, has anybody seen anything? And then they're like owls, like, ooh, ooh, ooh. No one's looking around, they don't know who anybody else is, or afraid to say anything. And Canyon Lake, if you're a deputy, ask if anybody's seen anything, you better have a thick notebook, because you'll be writing all night. Because people in here, they stick together, they come together, they protect each other, and an assault, if that ever happened on one of us, is an assault at all. But on a more positive note, that won't happen in here, because we do stick together. So thank you again, Mr. Mayor.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I mean, you can lobby for it, right?
Yeah. If you want to lobby for the year, man, send in your petition, all right? Come on. For the year. I love it. All right. Thank you, Art. Seriously, we appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, moving along to community reports. Keep this in mind, 3 minutes. Yeah, we've been pretty good on that. So, all right, our president, Darcy Burke, you're up. EVMWD, what do we got?
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. We have a few things. First, I wanted to take a moment to publicly thank your city manager, Chris and Tyler, for giving the chairwoman of Metropolitan Water District of Southern California a tour of the lake. No sitting Metropolitan chairman has ever been here. She got to see the facilities that we have, our pilot plant, and that was the first step in beginning to have a conversation about keeping our lake fuller, longer, more often, being able to use our water treatment plant, and realizing that this is a great storage venue for Metropolitan without having to build other reservoirs nearby. So it was the first step in that. Having Metropolitan water introduced to our lake on a more regular basis would also improve water quality, which is one of my caveats for everything. If you can't have good water quality, you really don't want to drink it. So I just want to thank Chris again publicly. It was very much appreciated. December 31st was the end of the shutoff moratorium, so if you have arrearages with the Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District and haven't been able to pay your bill, we have received some grant funding from the state, so I really encourage you to reach out to our customer service department and see how we can help you do that and get everything caught up. The sewer relining project that's going on near San Joaquin in that area is on track, on schedule, and it is new technology, so there's no disruption to landscape or those types of things. I got a report this afternoon that so far they're on schedule and they haven't had any issues. You may see in the news that the governor has ratcheted up the Drought Declaration. Metropolitan has spent a significant amount of money on advertising, and we are trying to follow suit with that messaging. It's really just about doing what we're already doing. In my division's case, just please shut your sprinklers off.
Yep.
It's winter. We had a lot of rain. If our division alone, Division 1, was more efficient and within our budget, we would meet more than exceed any mandate from the governor without any financial penalties, which is really my goal. I don't think financial penalties work. I think we need to do it for the right reason and just be more efficient. And that's all I have tonight, unless somebody has any questions.
Any questions?
You were the president last month, were you? Oh, this is your first month as the president?
I was made president December 20th.
Yep.
So,
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, it's great to have a Canyon Lake District 1 as the presidency. So,
Thank
because
you.
it's been a while, so
Been
must
since
come
what,
from a lot of hard work.
2007?
yes, and actually 2010, and
2010.
that reminded me that Ben Wick, who was the
Yes.
last chairperson from Canyon Lake, passed away right around the holidays, and so our deepest condolences to him. He left really big shoes to fill at the water district, and within all of California water. He was definitely a water leader and a pioneer, and he will be missed. But he really did a lot for our community, and I just want to acknowledge him too. So thank you, Councilman Welty, for reminding me.
One question, how did the exercising of the gates?
Oh, the valves of the
Yeah,
dam?
the valves at the dam.
Went seamlessly. Obviously, we don't get our full report back from the Division of Dam Safety. For a while, they checked the valves here and our valves at Lee Lake. And as far as I know, it went swimmingly. So we lost about, I couldn't resist it, it's water. There's a number of puns. We lost a little bit more than an acre foot of water. It wasn't very much at all.
Okay.
Good.
Any other questions?
No, but
We appreciate you.
congrats
Congratulations,
Thank you.
President.
Thank you very much.
Way to go. Thank you. Do we have the POA president on the phone? Is Joe on the phone with us? Yes, I am. Can we turn it up? The floor is you. Yeah, we got you now. The floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to share some POA news. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Chief Latendrous and the City Manager, staff, and Council on that new fire department. We're really excited to see that happen, and it's an exciting time for Canyon Lake, and we want to wish you guys well with that project. I also want to thank our City Manager, staff, and Council for their efforts working with our General Manager, Eric Kazikoff, to resolve the issue of who is responsible for Black Horse and Sorrel Lane roads. That's been an ongoing issue and question that has been posed for both of us. And it's been enlightening to see for everyone involved that the county had actually rejected the properties some time ago, many years ago. And it turns out that the ownership fell back to the POA. So we are going to take an active approach to address some of the issues that have been coming to us about the neighborhood problems, and look forward to working with the neighbors and resolving or trying to resolve those problems there. Also, bring the community up to date on our $5.6 million road project. It started this week with concrete work on the cross gutters and the affected roads. There'll be temporary no parking signs posted around those projects, and we ask the members to avoid those areas when possible. Access will not be affected during this phase of the work. The next phase after that starts on January 31st, where they'll start the asphalt repair, and there'll be 9 two-week phases of asphalt repair in sections of the road that are identified on the website. There will be access restrictions during the hours of 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we need members to be informed and be aware. For more information, they can get that from our website. There will also be a paper notice taped on each of the homes and the garage door in the affected areas with detailed information, and they will have an opportunity to get on an email thread for project-specific updates. This is phase one of a multi-phase project that will take years to complete to restore our roads, and phase two is scheduled for next year, and it will be in the neighborhood of another $5 million. But I want to assure the community that funding is currently in the road reserve account for those first two phases. Sierra Park project north is going well. The pump track contractor actually will be starting soon, so we're excited to see that completed later this summer. Roadrunner bathrooms going well and should be completed soon. Our campground bathroom remodel, 40-year-old bathroom, is finally time to remodel, so we're looking forward to that new facility. Sierra Park shade structure is almost complete and will be a nice addition to that park. I want to let members know that our winter edition of Canyon Lake Living, our full-color magazine that we put out during the year, they can pick up a copy at Member Services or go online to see it. Sorry for that. Just some entertainment information about the lodge. We have concerts going on February 12th, which would be David Nail, the country music singer. So tickets will be available for that. And Jim Messina of the group Loggins and Messina will be performing on April 16th. So see the POA office for tickets for either one of those performances. And at the country club, we have this Friday, we have Mickey Arnett Trio performing. And on January 29th, Katie Shorey is back, and with her tribute to Stevie Nicks. And she's in high demand, and members really enjoyed that. So with that, that completes my report. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time.
You bet. Thank you all.
Tell Tim Cook not to
Thanks.
call you in the middle of your presentation like that. All right. Moving right along. Do we have Jeannie Odell on the phone? President Jeannie Odell, are you?
Yes.
Perfect. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's wonderful to be here. I do apologize for missing a couple of the last roundtables. I think some of you know that I've had family issues that I've had to deal with. So I've set some things in place that if I can't make the roundtables, I've got some people who will be joining you. I would like to announce that we have some new directors that have joined our board just recently. We have Megan Cortez from Daisy Dukes, who's our Director of Member Events. We have Erin Adams, who's from Queen of Fun Travel, who is our Director of Community Events. We have John Grande from Canyon Lake Solar, who is our new Secretary. We have Julie No, who from Julie No State Farm Insurance is our new Director of Volunteers. She just signed up today, so we're excited about that. And we have Kyler Battleson from Century 21, who's our new ambassador. So for the first time in 1.5 years, we have an absolutely full board, and that's exciting because we now have the people in the positions that we need in order to create our annual calendar. So you will be seeing some announcements coming out on a series of events that we're going to be doing over the next year. We've also launched our Business of the Month and Business of the Year program, and you will be seeing some announcements come out regarding our January and February selections. Those business members, who are selected for Business of the Month will then qualify for our Business of the Year program. And last but not least, we will have 3 ribbon cuttings to be scheduled, and I'll be reaching out to Anna in order to schedule those, and hopefully some of the City Council will be able to attend. And that concludes my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Odell. Any questions? Council members? Nope. We good? All right, moving right along. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Public Safety, Sheriff.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, staff. I have for you the Public Safety Report, which covers December 2021. It's the last month of the year. Deputies responded to or generated 294 calls for service, which was down 73 calls from the month prior. There were 10 Part 1 crimes reported in the city of Canyon Lake. We had 0 homicides, 0 rapes, no robberies, no burglaries, and no arsons. However, we did have 3 aggravated assaults, 4 thefts, and 3 motor vehicle thefts. In addition, deputies wrote 14 traffic citations, investigated 2 traffic collisions, overall made 16 arrests. 12 were for outstanding warrants, 4 were for drugs, 1 vandalism, and 1 domestic violence call.
Bear with us, Lieutenant Rails. We're getting the report now. Appreciate it.
And there's a 3-month comparison there below.
Perfect.
Nothing that really stands out. And I also have for you the
Thank you.
average response times and the calls for service.
Nice.
If you see in December, it was up slightly for priority ones, because that's the ones I'm mostly concerned about.
Right.
Those are your highest priority. Up slightly, but if you look over the total yearly average, it's going down each year. It was 8.51 minutes in 2019, 8.07 in 2020, and 7.32 in 2021. So hopefully we'll keep seeing that number go down, along with the rest of the priorities, which the rest of the priorities is pretty even throughout the year, but priority one is the one we're concerned about.
Right. Any questions?
So was one of the aggravated assaults the domestic violence?
That was
Just
been
one of them?
Yeah. Some of those are filed out of custody, so that was probably one that was actually arrested at the time.
Anyone else? We good?
One more question. How the flock cameras helping?
Flock cameras, we are using them quite a bit. What's good about it is Canyon Lake's so small that by the time you get the flock hit, it's either Menifee or it's in the city of Lake Elsinore. So most of the stats are hitting there. So you're not going to see a lot of stats, but I could say we've used it at least 6 times this month for stolen vehicles,
Nice.
carjacked vehicles, those sorts of things. And we are using it for investigations, so it's getting a lot of use. And we're actually going to be adding 40 more cameras to the county area.
Nice.
Elsinore and Wildemar are both adding more, so we're going to have high 200s for out of our station area for cameras, so we're doing well. And all the surrounding cities have them too, so we're able to piggyback on theirs and use theirs for investigation, so it's working out well.
Awesome.
In addition to that, Captain Aaliyah is working on a report for the entire year, and he'll be sending that out, so you should be getting that pretty soon. And also, I wanted to let you know, and I don't know if you've told him yet, about the money we were able to get from the state for DUI enforcement. We've been looking for money, and the state came to us and said, hey, we have some additional funds, can you use them? I said yes, because we don't have any DUI enforcement here in Canyon Lake, so we're going to put together 2 to 3 operations during the year. We're just going to try to time it with the right time, so we'll be getting with you on that, and if you have any
Perfect.
dates that you suggest, let me know.
That's awesome. That's good.
All right.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Rose, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the report.
Yeah.
All right, our fearless leader, the chief, come on up. Chief Latendrous.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, Jeff Latender, Sheriff Fire Chief. I am not used to being here so early in the meeting.
Isn't that
I'm
weird?
normally at the end.
Well, we're going to bring you back up at the end.
Oh, I was wondering if I could maybe leave when this was
Yes,
over.
you can.
We have some audio-video entertainment for you to start off with, if you'll start that for us, please.
Cool.
Cartoons, firefighter level. So it took, sorry, it's a little emotional. It's been a long year, and there are way too many people to thank for what we did. We did the impossible. We did what other people failed, and I'm just proud to be part of this department. So, let's see if I can read my notes now. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video of what it took to get the Canyon Lake Fire Department ready for operations on January 1st. We began emergency and life-saving services at 8 a.m., and at 12:31, we were dispatched to our first call. The incident was a medical response, and the engine responded with 4 personnel on board, 2 of which were paramedics. Since that first call and up and through Monday, the department has responded to 33 emergency incidents. So far, we've had 29 medical aids, 1 fire, a vehicle fire inside a structure, 1 public service request, 1 false alarm, and 1 call that came in as a non-reported call. On these incidents, all of those were handled by your Canyon Lake Fire Department, except for 1 call. County Engine 5 responded to a medical aid at 01:41 hours on the 9th, while our engine was on a separate call at the same time. On 2 separate occasions, we've had a Murrieta engine dispatched, and each time that engine has been canceled within a minute or 2. On 1 occasion, our engine was able to break free from the call they were on and handle the call. And on the second one, Engine 5, as we just talked about, responded to that incident and handled that call. Our paramedics have had to follow up on 3 of those responses so far, and when we do that, it takes the engine out of service for an extended period of time, upwards of 2 hours. On 2 of those calls, it was because AMR was only able to provide us with a BLS ambulance, or a basic life support ambulance. The patient was advanced life care, so our paramedics had to escort them to the hospital. On the final occurrence, the patient's condition was so critical that the paramedics in the back needed additional personnel to help provide adequate care. We transported twice to Inland Valley Hospital in Wildomar and once to Rancho Springs Hospital in Murrieta. Again, it takes hours when these calls come in, and we just try to get back as quickly as we can. As I said, we did have 1 fire response on Monday the 6th at 4:12 in the morning. A fire was reported in the 23,000 block of Canyon Lake Drive South. County Engine 94 was the first to arrive on scene, and the fire was reported out upon our arrival. The fire was confined to the interior of a vehicle inside the structure, and it was extinguished by a grateful neighbor that saw what was going on, took a fire extinguisher from their vehicle, ran across the street, and put the fire out. On this incident, 3 additional engines and a truck were also dispatched, but because the fire was out before we arrived, they were quickly canceled. Our battalion chief also responded from his home and stayed on scene for approximately 2 hours. Our engine was also able to release Engine 94 quickly so they could return back to their jurisdiction and get back in their first in district. It should be noted that on the 24-hour shift on Sunday, January 5th, the department had 10 emergency responses. We were kind of told there'd be 2 or 3, and the firefighters at the station loved it. While we don't want to see anybody in jeopardy, anybody under extreme conditions, it's what they're trained to do, it's what they want to do, and it was a great day for them. We've been working with REMSA, which is the Riverside County Emergency Medical Services Agency, on our response time so we can understand how long it's taking us to get from point A to point B. It's important to understand what a response time is and to understand the definitions. So the first one I'll throw out there is call processing time. When someone calls 911 and the 911 operator answers it, starts a clock. They have to find out what type of emergency it is, they have to verify the location, they have to enter the call into the computer, and that takes time. So that's the first clock that we want to stop. The second time is what we call turnout time. So once the dispatcher has all that information, they alert the fire crews wherever they're at. They could be in the station, they could be out on inspections, they could be driving around, but from the time that the firefighters are notified until they go en route is what we call turnout time. The next important time parameter is what we call travel time. Travel time is exactly what it says. what it takes to get from where you're at to where the incident is. And finally is total response time, and that's all those times added in together to get a total response time from the first time that the person calls 911 until the firefighters arrive at your door. It's our understanding that the report you received previously from Riverside County CAL FIRE only provided us with travel time. In the future, we want to provide all those parameters so we can look at and evaluate how we are doing. CAL FIRE provided those times in averages. 50% of the time you did good, 50% of the time you didn't do so good. We want to provide a 90% fractile. So our goal will be to meet those response time parameters within so many minutes, 90% of the time, and we'll evaluate that and see where we need to try to improve at. So we will be working with not just REMSA, but also with CAL FIRE. And the reason why we're working with REMSA is that's who our report management or report RMS, our report record management program that we use comes from. The times are dropped down from CAD at Riverside County into our REMSA reporting system, and so that's where we're getting our information. So we'll be working both with REMSA and CAL FIRE to provide you with the data that we receive in a format that you can understand so that we can evaluate how effectively we're providing services to our constituents. We have so far completed one fire inspection, at least one public relation event. We've had multiple fire station visits, and we want to report this kind of information too. Obviously, emergency response are what we're here for, but engaging and interacting with the community is just as important as the emergency responses. And we want you to know how we're interacting and engaging with the community. So we'll be providing that information to you monthly as we continue to move forward. And the firefighters wanted me to express to you and the community their gratitude for all the support they've received so far. It's really been amazing. You know, you stand out front, people drive by and honk and wave. They bring goodies and everything to the fire stations, the donations that we've received. The comments on social media have all been outstanding, and they are grateful, and it provides positive morale for our people at the station. Our new engine hopefully will be returning tomorrow or Friday this week, and it's currently in Ontario being outfitted with the equipment. We've got some small equipment that we have to continue mounting this weekend. We hope to train on it next week, and so hopefully within the next 2 weeks, our new engine will be in service. Our Type 6 engine, we got an update on that today, and they are telling us that the Type 6 should be finished within the next week or two. There may be another inspection for that engine back there, but we hope to get that moving out here quickly. And I'm actually going to Moreno Valley tomorrow to see our 2 command vehicles. They have been built. They're in California. They're in Moreno Valley. They're at a dealership where they're going to be painted and then moved on for radio installations and emergency lighting installations. So that is coming along very quickly as well. Station updates. We started on Saturday. On Monday, the contractor showed up, and on Tuesday, they were framing our new walls. So the station is currently under construction, being renovated, and the firefighters have been great in cleaning up and renovating and coming up with creative ideas to use the cabinetry that was in the old EOC and move it into the kitchen and replace the old kitchen cabinets that are in there. And they've come up with a great plan, and they're going to renovate the station with the contractors using recycled material from the EOC and the dorm area. So it's just amazing watching them to work. Again, we watched the video, city staff, vendors, contractors, agencies that allowed us to go and train in their facilities, that opened their doors to us. It's been an amazing journey, and we are just so grateful, and I'm sorry for the emotions, but we just did something amazing. And I'll also say, you know, I'm wearing a band on my badge, and so not only did we lose an LA County firefighter this week, we also lost a firefighter in Barstow that was injured late last year on an incident on the freeway on the 15 and was hit and unfortunately passed away this last week. One of the people that interviewed with us is a battalion chief in Barstow, so we have some connection there. But I found out this week that the firefighter in LA County, the in-laws live here. And so there's a connection to that LA County firefighter death in our community. So our hearts and prayers go out to the family, and we're going to try to do all we can to assist them in their time of need. So again, that's my report. I'm sorry so lengthy. I hope I get to go after this, but I'm available for any questions that you may have.
I just, before everyone else speaks, I just want to say, Chief, that your emotion is exactly why we picked you, my friend. Larry and I and the city manager and others had the opportunity to interview different chiefs, and you were the one that stood out because you actually wanted to build something, and you wanted to be a part of the community. So for us, and watching that video, it is extremely emotional because of the hours and the painstaking time it take to develop what we have here before us. And so we're so proud, man. We're proud that we can call you family, and we're proud that you're a true Canyon Laker, and I'm just blessed to be a part of it. And I tell people outside of the bubble of Canyon Lake that the single most biggest thing that I've ever been a part of was watching this come forth. And I am so valuable to be able to be a part of it, and so blessed. So I get that same emotion too. And but I'm not going to cry. I'm going to hold back. Does anyone else have a couple of comments to make? Casey's water working over here, so I might have to give her a couple minutes.
You can start over there.
I'm good. I visited the firehouse. It's just looking great. The enthusiasm on the part of your firefighters is really amazing. I'm so glad you dealt with the kitchen cabinets. I just went in there and said, you know what, it's looking good, but those kitchen cabinets are probably older than I am, and that's pretty long time ago. So we're glad to see that your remodeling's going well, and it's not exactly like a regular home, but it should feel at least homey.
You know, it's amazing. That's one of the things they say. You know, some fire stations look like a Taj Mahal. This one feels and looks like a house, and that's the kind of environment we're trying to create there.
Good for you,
And the
Chief.
firefighters love it.
Good for you. That view on that one room, though, I got dibs on that.
It's good to see and hear esprit de corps, and morale's up, so those are all positives. I do have one that is a business item, and I got a word that we had a fallout call. It was prioritized low, and it was a broken femur plus some other injuries. We picked the call up, but it was dispatched, Marietta engine canceled. Have we followed up with dispatch to find out why the priority was so low?
We are working on with that now, so that is correct. There was one call. It was dispatched as what they call an alpha, or a lower acuity call. It was, we were actually committed on it's one of those calls where we committed on another call. They dispatched the Marietta unit. Our engine was available to free the call they were on, and it came in as a fall, and it turned out that the person had a broken leg. So we're working through that right now to try to understand how and why. Is it a training issue? Is there, did the person who called just say, well, my grandmother has fallen? And based off that information, that might have been the
Okay.
appropriate response. So we
As long
are
as we're
looking into
following
it.
up on it, that's fine.
We are
Thank you.
looking into it, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Me? Okay. Just echoing what my colleagues said, it is just a breath of fresh air to honestly get a presentation today that was so thorough, so heartfelt. I've been able to go to the fire station. We see the firefighters all around town, and it is just, I think, next level community involvement. And that was something that was important to me. And right from the beginning, I've seen it, and our community members have seen it. And I think you're going to have continued buy-in from the community based on the apparent love for this city from your team.
Thank you. And I think while I was trying to read and speak at the same time, which obviously was difficult for me tonight, I might have left out what our average response times are so far. So in reviewing these first 31 responses for the city, on average, our response time or our travel time was under 4 minutes. And our time from dispatch to arrival on scene was under 6 minutes.
Wow.
So, we're doing extremely well in getting out there and covering our city. And, you know, our firefighters are out in the community, they're training, they're throwing ladders. Sometimes that creates delays, but this is the information that we have from our records management system, and so we'll continue to update and provide that information. So my apologies for missing that while I was reading.
Wow.
More thorough analysis of complete dispatch time and response time. I think that's important for the community to understand, because there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle before you get on scene. So I'm glad we're taking that approach. We've asked County Fire to do that for some time now. Based on previous discussions, we had not had anything other than travel time. So it's good to hear that we're in the ballpark. That is contemporary fire management. That is a tool that we use. And I think that I'm really pleased to hear you're on top of it.
Chief, you hit a soft spot with Mayor Pro Tem Green, because ever since we started the ad hoc committee for the fire department, we've been asking for those numbers from the county, and we've yet to receive it. And here you are, my friend, delivering something that Mr. Green's been working on for so hard, so I appreciate that.
And I actually want to reach out to the sheriff's department and the lieutenant, and one of the things that we're missing in that is one key component. It's what they call the primary PSAP, or the primary public safety answering point. So when you call 911, the call will go to either the sheriff's department or the CHP. And then once it's determined to be a medical or a fire emergency, it's transferred over to the secondary PSAP, which is Paris and CAL FIRE. And so how long are they taking in that call processing time too? Because that truly is when the person is entering the system. So we want to try to understand that component as well, and so we need to work with our partners there and get that time also.
Councilmember Dane?
Okay. I just want to thank you, Chief, for everything that you've done to get this fire department going. Although I came in halfway through the year, it's still just as exciting to see it come to fruition. I love to see the firefighters out. You can tell that they're proud to be there, and you can tell that everybody is proud to be there, and the leadership that's there is evident. So appreciate everything you've done, and just couldn't be more excited about it.
Thank you.
And thanks for all the, Saturday when we opened on January 1st was a really cool day. And I remember looking at Jennifer, and she said, "This is so cool," as we're pushing the engine in, and we're all coming together as not only a council, but just a team. And we were able to be part of that and watch the guys put the banner up. And Chief, you did a phenomenal job telling the story on why we're pushing the engine in, and make us all feel like we have big muscles. And it was just, it was incredible, my friend. So I appreciate it, and we're just so excited. And I know that my colleagues and I get the chance to talk about this, but the community is really coming together, and the rhetoric out there is unbelievable. And people like Art are helping with that message and giving the chance to meet the guys and gals that are making our department. So congrats, man. Seriously.
Thank you. And on behalf of the firefighters, thank you.
And guess what? You get to leave early.
No, I think I get to stay.
Oh, come on.
Mr. Mayor, just wanted to add, one day last week, the chief made a pretty serious mistake. He was in my
He
office.
bought you onions on your cheeseburger, huh?
He was in my office, and we were talking about response times, and he said, well, let me show you something. And so we got on my computer, and we logged into the system, and he showed me, where all every call that happens is listed in the response times. I don't think he realized that my computer would save his login information. And so, Chief, please let the guys know that the city manager's new favorite hobby and pastime is logging into that system and looking at every call. And it is, I've been just, there are definitely kinks that need to be worked out with, the software and the system, but it is pretty neat to see those calls come in, and I look at that, the time that the call first comes to us, to our guys in the station, and that turnout. That's the first thing that we have control over, and to see that turnaround time consistently being right at or under a minute is pretty exciting.
It's incredible.
And then to see the en route time and the arrival on scene time, and to see those times be consistently 3 minutes, 4 minutes. We had a call
early on, first or second day, I think, that was to the mobile community. Travel time was 6 minutes from the fire station.
And that's pretty much
to
the
them.
farthest point, right? Did we identify it nearly?
Close.
Yeah.
Close, yeah. And so it's been encouraging, and it's a lot of fun for me to watch.
Once we figure out how to work those gates, it'll be a lot easier too.
12 days, 12 days,
Yeah.
only 12 days in.
Incredible.
We had actually another call where the crew was training and they were looking at the gates at Treasure Island, at the condos there. And they got a call at the very top of Surreau. That's a long drive. And so, there will be those occurrences. There will be occurrences when they're on a slightly delayed response while they're training. When we get our second engine here, we can train off of one. If we're going to put the engine in a position where it's going to inhibit its ability to respond, maybe we bring the 2 engines out there so we don't delay that response time. So we'll be looking at all that stuff. We're very aware. Chief Samuels worked for Citygate for a period of time, and this is what he did, was he put together plans based on fractile information on response time data, and so he's very good at looking at these numbers and understanding them and trying to figure out how we can improve them from looking at where we were, what we were doing at the time the call came in.
I love it. Thank you, Chief. Any other questions? Any other comments?
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right. Code enforcement. I'm all emotional now. Way to go, Chief. Ruby, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. For the month of December, we had three building and construction violations, 1 MPDS violation, and 3 administrative public nuisances. Those all have been rectified since, and they've been brought into compliance. 4 citations were issued out on our BLM lands. We're getting an increase on off-roading vehicles since the rain. We have our mudders out there. And short-term rentals, we still haven't received complaints, and we're still actively monitoring all of those, and that's been quiet for a while. 17 residential inspections were conducted for the month of December, and that brings us down to 76 still pending. And that is all I have.
All right, any questions? Any comments? I have a comment for you.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you. I received 2 instant messages from some people that I won't name in the community that had some interacting with you guys, and they just said how professional you are, how you don't lead with aggression. You really try to solve the situation at hand. So I just want to say thank you once again. You're the face of Canyon Lake. Most of the time it's bad news, but you guys are delivering right. So I just want to say thank you so much. Appreciate that.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
No problem. All right, moving along. Is everyone good? Okay. Public comments. Madam Clerk, read the public comments. Do we have any public comments?
Thank you. Any person wishing to address the city council on any matter within the jurisdiction of the city, whether or not it appears on this agenda, is asked to complete a speaker request form available on the back counter. The completed form is to be submitted to the city clerk prior to an individual being heard by the city council. The city council has adopted a time limitation of 3 minutes per person. If you're commenting on the agenda item, your comments will be heard at the time that particular item is scheduled on the agenda. Please note that if you're addressing the city council on items not on the agenda, the Brown Act does not allow discussion of such items. Therefore, the city council may only do the following: refer the matter to staff, ask for additional information, or request a report back, or give a very limited factual response. Members of the public may still submit their comment electronically by sending an email with their comment to publiccomment@canyonlakeca.gov. Comments submitted electronically will be provided to the city council and included in the official record, but will not be read aloud during the meeting. We have no comments.
Thank you. Consent calendar. Madam Clerk, please read the consent calendar statement.
All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine matters, status reports, or documents covering previous city council action. The items listed on the consent calendar may be enacted in one motion. With the concurrence of the city council, a council member may request that an item be removed for further discussion. Staff recommends approval of all items.
Perfect, thank you. Any council members like to pull anything? All right, I need a motion.
Motion?
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Green. I need a second. second by Councilwoman Castillo. Need a roll call vote.
Councilmember Castillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Dane?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Green?
Aye.
Councilmember Welty?
Aye.
Mayor Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right. Moving right along. Public hearing. This is number 7 for those of you that are following along. This is an ordinance introduction, the first reading of ordinance number 217, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Canyon Lake, California, amended Chapter 9.25 of the Canyon Lake Municipal Code regarding inflatable signs. This is one that we've had some discussion on.
That's right.
All right, so we're going to open up the public hearing. The time is 7:20. I'm going to turn this over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to ask our city attorney to give the presentation on this item. Also, do we have our city planner, Jim Morrissey, on the line?
We do, yes.
Okay, fantastic. So Mr. Morrissey is available. Should we have questions? Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. As noted in the staff report, at the November City Council meeting, the City Council received a report on the issue of inflatable signs and devices being used in the commercial zones of the city. In particular, it seems that we had a couple of commercial enterprises that were utilizing the inflatables as an attempt to circumvent the city's regulations regarding commercial signs. There was also some discussion about, how exactly we should go about regulating inflatables. Is there a difference between the commercial zone and the residential zone? And so what you have in front of you is an amendment that was drafted by my office that relates to inflatable signs. And in particular, we're looking at what types of regulations. So we are going to allow inflatable signs, but we do want to keep the size manageable. And so this is a time, place, and manner restriction. We're not regulating the content of this particular signage. We're simply regulating how big it can be. I think you'd be hard pressed to find an inflatable that is bigger than 15 feet high, with the exception, I think when I get off at Railroad Canyon, I think the Auto Center has, what is it? Is it a gorilla?
Sometimes they have a blow-up Jeep.
They have a Jeep?
They
That's
got a
right.
lot going on.
Yeah, so
Little
when we
blow-ups.
get an auto dealership, we can revisit
Right.
Our sign code at that time to see what's appropriate. But for now, we have the Canyon Lake Shopping Center. So 15 feet is what's proposed based on the feedback we had from the council. The other issue that we had was the apparent intention of some of the business owners to have what I would call a quasi-permanent inflatable. And so we have put a durational restriction here. So that is no inflatable sign shall be displayed for 30 consecutive days, and no inflatable sign shall be displayed for more than 60 days in aggregate, consecutive or otherwise, within a calendar year. And the intention for that is, if you want to have an inflatable sign for a sale, if you want to have an inflatable sign to celebrate holidays or some other event, that's perfectly fine. But they're not going to be a permanent fixture of the shopping center. So that's what we have in front of you. If there's any questions from the council, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions? Pretty simple. Everyone good to go? Pretty clear on the language? Are we happy with it?
This looks like a nice balance. We don't want our commercial centers to look like inflatable farms. They become totally ineffective if everybody has a 15-footer. So I think this is a nice balance that the center can market their products, but at the same time, it doesn't overwhelm the overall look of the center. So I think this works.
I think the only downside is Anna bought an 18-foot image of Chris. That's a blow-up, and we're not going to be able to use that in the parking lot, so.
There's an exemption in the bylaw.
Oh, got it. I just want to make sure. All right, testimony of proponents?
None.
Testimony of opponents? I already gave one. Public hearing is now closed. It's 7:24. All right, any other discussion? Nope. All right, action by city council. I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Larry Green, second by Councilwoman Casey Castillo. I need a roll call vote.
Councilmember Castillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Dane?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Green?
Aye.
Councilmember Welty?
Aye.
Mayor Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried to approve the introduction and first reading of ordinance number 217. An
Perfect.
ordinance of the City Council of the City of Canyon Lake, California, amending Chapter 9.25 of the Canyon Lake Municipal Code regarding inflatable signs.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving right along, for those of the four that are following us in the audience and those out there, business item number 8, this is a resolution adoption of Resolution 2022-03, establishing a credit card authorization and use policy. Mr. City Manager, it's yours.
Well, thank you. I'd like to have our Finance Director, Terry Shea, make the presentation.
Good evening,
Mr. Shea.
Your Honorable. Good evening, Your Honorable Mayor, Member of City Council. I'm glad I wasn't right after Jeff. That's a tough act.
That is a very tough. We apologize, Ruby.
Not quite as exciting as that fire department, but that truck was beautiful.
I know.
I want to come out and see that thing. But I'm going to wait till all the construction's done. Too. And I am leaving as soon as I present this. So.
You deserve it.
I know
Look at the line behind you, my
I
friend.
Well, Chris and I are on the hook in case they don't spend the credit cards right. So Chris is going to authorize them. I'm going to write them. So basically, we got a new cashback credit card, I think back in December, November. And now we're just bringing a policy forward that will control who's authorized to issue the cards and make sure that the cards, the expenditures are properly documented, are within the budget, and then each person that has a card will send us a reconciliation each month. And then finance will monitor that. But that's basically what we're trying to do, is just control and make sure the cards are properly authorized and properly used and all the charges are supported, so.
Are the cards going to be issued on an as-needed basis? Let's say someone goes to a conference or...
We got cards in certain people's names.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And I think, like, if you're going to go to a conference, I think you could, like, Anna or Kayla or somebody could do your sign up for you through that credit card.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions?
No.
Any questions? Pretty simple. Awesome report. Pretty easy to read.
Yeah, there you go.
Simple. Okay. I need a motion.
Oh, Mr.
Oh,
Mayor?
wait, sorry, public comment. Do we have any cards? We have.
Yes, so we
Okay.
do have 2 public comments received from Mr. John Zeitz. We have 2 separate emailed comments. I did provide the council all copies of those comments. I'm not going to be reading his comments, however, they will be included as part of the official record.
We did get copies. Everyone got copies of that, so we're good there. Awesome. Now, may I please receive a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right, Councilmember Wiltie,
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Green. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Castillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Dane?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Green?
Aye.
Councilmember Welty?
Aye.
Mayor Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried to adopt resolution number 2022-03.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Terry. All right, moving right along, we are on now business item number 9. This is adoption of resolution number 2022-04, awarding a professional service agreement to Transform Consulting for classification and consumption study and analysts. This is RFP number 2021-04. Mr. City Manager.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to ask our Administrative Services Manager, Mike Borja, to make the presentation on this item.
Perfect. The last person in the audience. How you doing, Mike?
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, and I too will be leaving after this presentation.
Because the Ortega Highway awaits you, my friend.
That's correct. Oh, by the time I get out of here, I gotta go.
I know, I get it.
Okay. Tonight, city staff is asking for City Council, I'm sorry, let me
You're good.
remove this. To adopt resolution number 2022-04, awarding a professional service agreement to Transformance Consulting for a classification and compensation study and analysis, RFP number 2021-04. And, excuse me, as part of the adoption of resolution 2021-20 at the April 7th City Council meeting in 2021, the adoption of the city's new employee handbook and personnel policy manual called out for a comprehensive compensation survey as well as a classification
That's a mouthful.
study.
There we go. Good job, Mike.
Basically, what it is it's a project to evaluate every position within the city's organization to determine relative worth within the organization, internal equity, and for the establishment of pay raises and step progressions. So on December 23rd of 2021, I have to reflect back because we did the bid opening last year. That's why maybe some of this may be a little bit confusing. We received one bid. That bid was from Transformers Consulting for the amount of $12,600. After review of the bid and the qualifications and the experience of Transformers Consulting, it is staff's recommendation for City Council to award the classification and compensation study to Transformers Consultant as the lowest and best bid possible. I also want to note that although we did only receive one bid, based on the qualifications and the experience of the consulting firm, it does meet our requirements, so it is our recommendation that we do move forward with awarding it to Transformers Consulting.
Mayor Pro Tem Green?
Questions?
Question, Mike. Based on salary and classifications, there's usually a grouping of cities that they review on salary and classifications to see if where you are on the average and then rate you. Who's going to establish those cities? And will it be the consultant or will it be the city of Canyon Lake?
I think it's a combination of both. I think between city staff, we would do that too as well. We would make our recommendations as to which cities to maybe look at.
Well, one of the things that can cause this to really vary in a lot of ways: size of city, their budget, and the number of employees. So all three of those factors have a very variable to them. So I'm just curious on that, because that does have, if we compared ourselves, I'll just give you an example, to an Orange County city, our salaries will be in classifications, could be, I don't say they are, but probably will look different.
Well, Mike is recommending that we find the highest paid city in
Probably
the
going to
state of
Newport Beach, aren't
California.
you?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to
Sorry.
He's gonna go to Hidden Wells.
We get to prove the cities.
No.
Barstow,
Yep.
Barstow,
Blythe,
Blythe,
yeah.
Desert Center,
Yep, Phelan.
and Phelan. That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
So let me address that just briefly. Part of what we're requesting here is a budget adjustment for this item, and the reason it was not originally included in the budget for this fiscal year is that our original intention was to do this in-house, to have our management analyst. This is kind of a typical analyst type of a task, right? We thought it'd be pretty simple. We'll kind of do a poll of the cities around us, see what they pay for these positions. And as we started digging in, we quickly realized this was much more complicated than that. It's very hard to compare apples to apples. We're very unique as a city. All cities are unique, but you take into consideration size and population and budget, but also the tasks that are assigned to staff members. I'll take the city clerk's position. Our city clerk differs from many other city clerks in her duties. Maybe on the tasks that are traditional straight city clerk tasks, there's less responsibility. We have a council that meets once a month. We don't have a planning commission, right? So the pure clerk duties might be less. But our city clerk does many things that most city clerks never have to do, right? Our clerk runs our EMS, administers our EMS subscription program. Our clerk manages our military banner program. Our clerk takes the lead on most city events. And those are just some examples, right? And so it's really, and then you talk about benefits, it becomes even more complicated. And so it was just a task that was something that no one had the expertise to do in-house. And so, yeah, we want to make sure that it's a valid comparison, and I think the best way to do that is to bring people in who do this for a living.
Sure, and I agree. Have we ever done a classification salary audit survey?
Not that I'm aware of. I could not find anything within our records.
It's probably time, and then usually what happens that I've been familiar with is that we set a time limit on it, and it's good for X amount of years, and then redo it. So, but this is a good idea.
We have a timeline that's outlined for this project. We want to get this, the study done and in time for approval before we move into the new fiscal year.
Yeah, the timing is important because we need to have the results of the study by April, because we need to include those results. We need to incorporate what the study tells us when we're putting the budget together for next fiscal year. And we need to have that draft to the city council in May so that we can then go back and make changes based on council feedback and bring the final version for adoption in June. So the part of the RFP was that we had to have this study done by April, and this consultant has committed to doing that.
Any other questions? Absolutely.
I had a different question, but then when I went through it again, came up with something else. Since this was something that was already approved as part of the new employee handbook, but I'm a little unclear as to if we know we're unique and we know for the example that you used with the city clerk, with the things that she's doing, what difference is a consulting company going to come up with than what we already know?
I think part of it, Councilwoman, is that we're fairly certain that a lot of our salary ranges are quite a bit out of whack. Most of them were established originally, both the salary ranges and the titles, the job duties were established a long time ago. We've changed significantly as an organization over the last few years. A study like this looks externally to compare us to other cities, but it also looks internally to make sure that salary ranges and compensation are equitable within the organization, to make sure that people within the organization are being compensated equitably amongst each other as compared to each other based on their job functions. We want to be able to recruit and retain very good people, and we don't want to just make numbers up. It'd be very easy for us to go and say, okay, well, how much does Menifee pay for a management analyst? How much does Marietta pay? Okay, well, we want to be able to beat Marietta, so we're going to set our salary ranges higher than Marietta. That may not make sense for a city like Canyon Lake. So we just feel that we don't want to kind of just make up the numbers. That we want professional assistants to help us figure out what makes sense for our city based on the tasks that are performed by our employees, based on the programs here. And we just, it's really kind of best practices for local government. It's something that most cities do every X number of years. As far as we can tell, something this city has never done. So we've grown to the point that we think it's something that we should be doing probably every 4 or 5 years. Does that answer the question?
It does.
Okay.
Yep.
I have a comment. My comment is I think it's a good idea to have an independent party do the review, because if you're reviewing my salary and I'm telling you what I should make, I may be a little biased in that. So I think going out and having an independent party comes on, and even with the staff, if the staff feels that they weren't reviewed properly, it's not that they're the friend of the general manager. It's simply an independent party on the outside looking in without any basic biases on their decision making.
Good point.
I have one more.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
I can understand having an independent party do this and to have the proper classifications done for what we're doing, but are we having trouble attracting good talent here for positions that we have?
That's a tricky question.
Pretend like they're not listening, Chris.
Right. No. My intention is to fire everybody. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, I mean, I think we're very fortunate. I mean, we have a really good team. We have a team that's been working really hard the last couple of years, implementing a lot of policies. They've been asked to do way more than they ever thought they'd have to do when they were hired, most of them, right? I want to be able to keep good people. And when people do leave, because, I mean, let's face it, people don't stay usually in one place their whole career like they used to. So we know that people will leave, hopefully not because they're unhappy, but hopefully because they have some great opportunity. We want to be able to replace those people with top-notch, recruits. And so I think just things have changed so much here that it's just time to reflect on where we are. And I think that if we don't do something to take a look at where we are now and make adjustments, I think we're going to start losing people pretty quickly at this point. I mean, we've asked an awful lot of our team the last couple of years, and I think we need to make some changes that reflect what the current duties are.
Okay. And for the record, I think we have great people here, too.
Councilwoman Castillo, you got anything? Come on, throw that RFIP out there. She's going to bid the job.
No, I don't have anything to say.
Darn it, I was hoping to get something out of you. Mayor Pro Tem?
I think I said it, but I do believe this is a good move. A couple of reasons. What I've seen, what our city has gone from and what we've evolved to is we have moved into a very professional operation. Whereas before, and some of it was budget driven, don't get me wrong, but you can't run a city part-time. You can't have quarter employees and expect when they have full-time work that it comes out the other end as you would like it. So I think we have really, with the selections of people that we have, the quality of the people that are here, the willingness of the staff to take on tasks that are sometimes look like a mountain, like the fire department, but we did it. And I think this is just one more little check in the box for Canyon Lake that shows we are considerate of our personnel, we are considerate of our employees, and we are trying to be as professional as we can and do the best representation that we can through the tools that are out there. This just happens to be a tool.
You know, it's funny, there's not a colleague up here who doesn't think highly of this staff. You know, every single person here has said amazing things about everyone that does the work, and I completely get where you're coming from, and I agree with Larry, the analysis has to be a little bit unique just because Canyon Lake is a weird one. Amazing, but it's definitely different. With that, I need a motion. Oh, wait, do we have plenty of public comments on it? I knew we wanted, I need a motion.
Motion.
Second?
A second.
All right, we got a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Green and then a second from Councilmember Welty. I need a roll call vote.
Councilmember Castillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Dane?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Green?
Aye.
Councilmember Welty?
Aye.
Mayor Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried to adopt resolution number 2022-04.
All right, thank you, everyone. This is business item number 10, adoption of resolution number 2022-05, approving a budget adjustment of updating existing network equipment at the city, the new fire department. This
Fire
is
Station
Fire
1.
Station, got it.
Fire Station 1.
Yes, Fire
Good evening.
Station 1.
That's right. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. City staff is bringing forward a recommendation to City Council to adopt resolution number 2022-05, approving a budget adjustment for updating network equipment at Fire Station 1. Since July 1st of 2021, after startup costs have been approved by City Council on expenses to renovate the fire station, city staff has been working very carefully to manage all expenditures that have been approved by City Council. During a recent evaluation of the current network infrastructure at the fire station, it was determined by our IT consultant firm, Syntec, that we needed to potentially upgrade the current network infrastructure equipment that's there currently at the station. Initially, when we approached the idea of all the improvements that we had to do at the station, we try to keep costs to a minimum, and some of the services that we had already in place there. But based on the amount of staff that we have at the station and trying to improve the overall network quality and equipment that we have there, is why we're asking for this budget adjustment. I've kind of outlined in the staff report those items that would be part of the additional items that we're going to be either replacing or adding to it. So Again, it is staff's recommendation to approve Resolution 2022-05 for a budget adjustment of $4,000 to do these improvements.
From the Finance Committee, we wanted to add something to this, but before we get into that, any questions? Pretty simple with this? No problems? So we had our Budget and Finance, I always say that. It's because I'm on that for our
Finance and
team.
Planning Committee.
Finance and Planning Committee. We had our meeting this afternoon, and it was perfect timing because the chief was in the meeting, and this is a good opportunity for us to put cameras at the station. We don't have any security cameras. Got a lot of equipment there, as you know. So chief, and we had a conversation, go back and forth. So we're asking that we actually change this number to 4,000 to 6,000. Give a cushion of a couple grand for security cameras that can be solar, that, they can get full access to on mobile devices and whatnot, so they can, for security issues. Would like to add that to it, if that's okay with everyone. Okay.
I guess just one added comment is that maybe we get our landlord to consider a solar system on the roof, because it'd be nice to have battery backup. It is kind of an emergency location, and I know we have a UPS backup, which is good for an hour, which will serve a couple computers, but there's a certain sense to having a big backup battery and solar, and I know that's the POA's building, so maybe that could be negotiated.
Cool, good. Any public? It's okay, if everyone's okay with that, I'd like to amend it to 6. I need to see if there's any public comments. I got it right, okay, good. Now I need a motion. All right, second?
I'll second it.
Perfect, all right. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Green, second by Councilmember Welty. I need a roll call vote on this.
And just for clarification, this is a motion with the amended amount to 6,000, correct?
Yes, this is the motion for number 2022-05 with the amended from 4,000 to 6,000.
Perfect, thank you. Councilmember Castillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Dane?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Green?
Aye.
Councilmember Welty?
Aye.
Mayor Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried to adopt resolution number 2022-05 with the amended budget adjustment.
Perfect. All right. Here's the next one, Mr. City Manager, the one that we all can't wait to talk about.
That's right, Mr.
Anna's
Mayor.
putting in the Starbucks order, so make sure you text her. All right, business item number 11. This is our 2022 city goals, discussing and possibility adoptions of proposed goals. Each council member gets 10 goals to add to the list. So be ready to write it down, Mr. City Manager. I kid. Please present.
When we do this compensation study, we're going to take that into account. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is something we do every year, usually in January. I think last year, for some reason, it slipped to February. I can't remember the reason, but every January, we get together and we talk about what the council's collective goals will be for the year. And we usually start by reviewing the goals for the previous year and hold ourselves accountable by looking at what's been accomplished towards meeting those goals. The purpose of the City Council's annual goal session is to clearly identify and adopt a list of agreed-upon priorities for the year. Once adopted, these goals will help guide the council and staff to ensure that time and other resources are allocated in a manner consistent with the council's shared objectives for the city. A matrix reviewing the status of the City Council's prior year's goals will also be presented as a way to track and measure progress. In no order of priority, 6 potential goals for 2022 are suggested for discussion and possible adoption. But before we get to those goals, at the outset, I think it's always good to remind ourselves what the established vision statement is for the city. And this is the adopted vision statement as it stands today, that Canyon Lake be a city that provides a quality of life that makes Canyon Lake the premier place to live in Southern California.
Mr. City Manager?
Yes, sir.
With all the work that we've done, we should drop Southern and just go with California.
Why stop there?
That's what I'm saying. But we get there. We get there, right?
Baby steps.
Baby
Yes,
steps.
that's right,
So
yes.
we drop the Southern and we be it.
I like the way you think, yes. Just as a reminder, these were the goals that were established by the City Council last year. We had 10 goals that were adopted. And what we do then, as we get towards the end of the calendar year, is staff puts together what we call a goals matrix, and it looks like this. And we list kind of the progress and accomplishments that have been made towards each of those goals. Showing it in this version is not very presentation friendly, and so we've taken each one of, you do have that matrix in front of you though. But we've taken this matrix and put it in the form of slides. So we're going to take a little bit of time now and go over one by one the goals that were set last year and what's been accomplished towards those goals. I will say the vast majority of this presentation is going over what was accomplished over the past year, and then we'll get to the goals for the coming year. So the first goal that was established was to establish the Canyon Lake Fire Department. And I have to apologize for all the text. This text is literally copy and pasted from the matrix, so it's not exciting, but I would like to read it so that the council and the public know kind of what we've been working on. In November of 2020, after months of studying the issue and meeting with key stakeholders, the City Council voted to move forward with the formation of a City of Canyon Lake Fire Department, with a goal of being up and running by January 1st, 2022. This was the city's primary goal and main focus during 2021. Within a 12-month period, the city successfully hired a fire department startup consultant / interim fire chief, ordered fire engines and all needed vehicles and equipment, contracted with Riverside County for dispatch and communication services, negotiated and entered into automatic aid and mutual aid agreements, recruited and contracted with a medical director and a nurse educator, received authorization through REMSA to provide emergency medical services, designed a department logo and a uniform patch, recruited and hired 11 full-time sworn professional fire personnel, including a fire chief, battalion chief, 3 fire captains, 3 fire engineers, 3 firefighter paramedics, hired 15 reserve firefighters and an administrative assistant / analyst, and conducted a month-long orientation training academy. On January 1st, 2022, the city's contract with Riverside County Fire / CAL FIRE terminated, and the Canyon Lake Fire Department began providing service. Renovations are now underway at Station 1 and are scheduled to be completed prior to January 31st. Our Type 6 Wildland engine, along with the 2 command vehicles, have been delayed due to manufacturer supply issues and are expected to be delivered in February or March. The new Type 1 engine is here. It's expected to be in service prior to the end of this month. In the meantime, Engine 201, which used to be Engine 60, is being utilized and is in service. Goal number 2, draft and adopt a new personnel policy manual. City staff, in conjunction with the city attorney and finance director, worked over a period of 6 weeks to develop an entirely new document, the Employee Handbook and Personnel Policy Manual, to replace the old Personnel Policies and Procedures document, as well as the old Cafeteria Plan Benefit Policy. On April 7th, 2021, the City Council adopted Resolution 2021-20, repealing the old documents and establishing the new manual. The third goal was to improve building department operations and reduce costs. The city's long-held practice of contracting for building and safety department services ended on September 1st, 2021, when the contract with Interwest was terminated and the city's in-house building department was launched. The new department consists of 2 full-time positions, including a deputy building official / senior building inspector and a building permit technician. In addition, an MOU was signed with the City of Wildemar and a contract entered into with VCA Code, both for as-needed staff support services and higher-level plan review. The overall level of service provided by the building department has drastically improved, as the office is now open all day, Monday through Thursday, and sufficient staffing exists to process applications more quickly and to be more responsive to calls, emails, etc. In addition, these changes are projected to save the city anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 a year, depending on building department activity and backup staffing needs, over what was being paid through the contract with Interwest. The fourth goal was to complete the 6th cycle general plan housing element update. So the planning department, along with consultant Castaneda and Associates, in conjunction with the city manager's office, successfully completed the draft housing element update and submitted to the State Department of Housing and Community Development by the October 15th, 2021 deadline. The city is awaiting comments and approval from HCD. Just a reminder that these costs were fully covered by the $65,000 LEAP grant funding that we were awarded. And once finalized, we won't have to worry about this again until 2029 as the sixth cycle goes through October 15th, 2029. The fifth goal was to consider moving the council chambers upstairs following library relocation. The Canyon Lake Library completed the relocation in May of 2021. From July through December of 2021, the former library space was utilized as storage for fire department equipment leading up to the launch of the department. The space was also used for fire department applicant testing and for the Orientation Training Academy. Funds have been identified, the ARPA funding, for renovations at City Hall to include relocating the council chambers to the former library space. The city has engaged HDL to assist with establishing a plan for the $2.7 million the city is receiving in ARPA funding. Once this plan is finalized, an RFP will be issued for the City Hall renovation project. Goal number 6, move economic development initiatives forward, including the BLM land, town center specific plan, identification of developable parcels, attracting new businesses, our investments, etc. This is a long one. We had a lot of activity in this area in 2021. We worked with Congressman Ken Calvert in his office. Congressman Calvert has agreed to carry needed legislation. Our identified potential development partner has negotiated an option to purchase land needed to bring into the MSHCP as a swap for the Jump Lagoon parcel. RCA staff has identified a need for a habitat study. Our potential development partner is currently considering their options. We expect them to be coming back to us here shortly with a request for a development agreement. So we will see what they have in mind and continue discussions there. The Town Center specific plan, the city contracted with Albert A. Webb Associates and WHA Architecture to draft the Town Center specific plan, which is nearing completion now. This was funded, $160,000 of which was funded by SB2 planning grant funding. $140,000 came from the city's general fund, but split over 2 fiscal years. We expect the final draft of this plan to be brought to the council in February or March. Identification of developable land. So we continue discussions with a potential development partner for possible projects on Railroad Canyon Road, which might include the reconfiguration of the driving range, the country club, and the parking lot. Identified a vacant parcel with strategic value to the city, which we're currently in negotiations to purchase. Worked with LAFCO consultant to gain recommendation in the municipal services review document that certain unincorporated areas be annexed into the city of Canyon Lake. And our investments. This was a big consumer of time this year. We purchased a building at the beginning of the year located at 31520 Railroad Canyon Road. We had a pretty sizable vacancy in that building, which we found a tenant for. At our other building that we purchased the previous year, 31542 Railroad Canyon Road, we have finally completed roof repairs at that building. And then ADA improvements to sidewalks, drains, bathrooms, and exterior doorways are currently underway. And we have also identified funding for the remaining repairs that are needed in that building. Goal number 7 was to protect water quality through compliance with MS4 permit requirements. In 2021, we worked with engineers from Interwest to ensure compliance. Engineers attended NPDS, MS4, Lake Elsinore, Canyon Lake, TMDL Task Force, and TAC meetings as required, filed required reports. We actively enforced stormwater best management practices, known as BMPs, and required water quality management plans, WQMPs, where applicable. But in December of 2021, the city negotiated an agreement to switch its contract from Interwest to Wildan. Wildan will provide the city a higher level of service in terms of BMP enforcement and the filing of required reports, better helping the city to stay fully in compliance. Goal number 8 was to expand communications and public engagement efforts. We implemented an aggressive communications approach in 2021, which led to reaching 57,000 470 people with our Facebook posts and 5,415 with our Instagram posts. The city currently has 2,500 Facebook followers, which is an increase from 1,913 this time last year. And we have 1,600 Instagram followers. This time last year, it was 1,104. In November, the city began actively using a new Facebook and Instagram account dedicated to the fire department. Just since November, 3,439 people were reached on Facebook and 2,267 people were reached on Instagram. And the fire department has gained 340 Facebook followers and 396 Instagram followers. And again, that's just since November. The city's website was updated and refreshed with a more modern look. Monthly email newsletters were sent out following council meetings. Direct mail, which included infographics, was sent to all residents, further explaining the EMS subscription program. Videos were produced throughout the year, including a State of the City video. The city manager and fire chief participated in a town hall meeting hosted by the Chamber of Commerce regarding fire department startup and the EMS subscription program. The fire ad hoc committee held a meeting with local firefighters regarding fire department startup. The mayor held monthly coffee with the mayor events. And the council really did a great job encouraging public participation and responding to questions and concerns via social media. Goal number 9 was to build and maintain positive regional relationships. As the city manager, I participated in the WRCOG TAC meetings, Riverside County City Managers meetings hosted by the League of California Cities, and meetings of the city managers here in Southwest Riverside County. I joined the executive committee of PERMA, which is the JPA where we get all of our insurance from. We included assistant city managers and fire chiefs from local jurisdictions, along with the county executive office, in the interim fire chief interview panel. Chief Latendress met with fire chiefs throughout Riverside County to build relationships and to establish mutual aid agreements. We organized monthly roundtable meetings with EVMWD, the POA, the Sheriff's Department, and the County Fire Department. We led boat tours with EVMWD for the chair of Metropolitan Water District of Southern California and with Assemblyman Kelly Ciarto. We attended the League of California Cities annual conference in Sacramento. We invited elected officials and staff from other jurisdictions in the region to the State of the City event. And the council did a phenomenal job representing the city throughout the year on regional boards. And our 10th goal, put on successful events. Veterans Day, Winter Wonderland, and State of the City were the events identified. We had very successful Veterans Day, Winter Wonderland, and State of the City events. But in addition, for the first time, the city also put on an event in recognition of Memorial Day. So, just looking at our 10 goals again, I think we can say that we did a pretty good job with our list here. We established a Catalina Lake Fire Department. We did draft and complete and adopt a new personnel policy manual. We improved building department operations and reduced our costs. We completed the 6th cycle general plan housing element update. We have taken a hard look at moving the council chambers upstairs and have identified funding for that. We did an awful lot of work moving our economic development initiatives forward. We did an awful lot of work this year improving our MS4 permit compliance. Still have a little more work to do there this coming year. We definitely expanded our communications and our public engagement efforts. We worked on building and maintaining positive regional relationships, and we put on some really successful events this year. Real quickly, I'd like to move through these quickly. Every year, in addition to the established goals by the council, things come up, and there are many other things that the city works on. And as we look back on 2021, there were really a number of very significant things that the city accomplished that I'd like to just highlight. Fiscal recovery. This is a big one. 2 years ago, the city's general fund budget was in deficit to the tune of more than $800,000. And general fund revenue was just at approximately $5 million, $5.5 million. Today, the city's budget is balanced. For the fiscal year that ended June 30th, 2021, general fund revenues had increased 29% to just over $7 million. Revenues exceeded expenditures by almost $900,000, leaving the city with a healthy general fund balance of nearly $5 million. This represents a reserve of more than 80% of our annual operating expenses. Another accomplishment was our response to COVID-19 in 2021. The city's approach to the pandemic, which focused on education instead of heavy-handed enforcement and on supporting our local businesses, helped our economy to thrive despite difficult times. In 2021, revenues from sales tax and property tax were up significantly, and Canyon Lake enjoyed the lowest unemployment rate in the entire county. We adopted a COVID-19 prevention program and continued providing all city services despite the challenges presented by the pandemic. We secured $136,000 in CARES Act funding. We received $1.35 million in ARPA funding this year, with the other half coming this coming year. We worked with Cal OES and submitted an application for $70,000 in FEMA reimbursement. Cannabis was another big thing we worked on in 2021. The city contracted with HDL and worked with the city attorney's office to finalize a draft cannabis ordinance and an application procedure. On September 13th, and again on October 6th for second reading, the City Council adopted Ordinance 215, adding Chapter 420 to the Municipal Code. The Council also adopted 3 resolutions establishing a maximum number of commercial cannabis retailers, putting in place the review criteria for cannabis businesses, and establishing application fees. Now, the city's cannabis business application period will open next week, which is on January 18th, and will close on March 3rd, 2022. A selection of a cannabis business is expected by May or June of this year. We made some pretty big updates to our EMS subscription program this year. After a successful first year of operations, the City Council updated the EMS subscription program to make it more user-friendly in a number of ways. Examples included lengthening the opt-out period to 90 days, no longer requiring those who wish to opt out to do so every year, and adding coverage for guests of enrolled residents. We made some pretty big safety improvements to Railroad Canyon Road. We completed the Railroad Canyon Road striping and signage improvements project, which revised existing striping to include green bike pavement legends and right turn pockets, and improved visibility of the center median striping and signage. This was a $106,000 project funded completely by SB1 Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Act funding, which is, it comes from gas tax. Short-term vacation rental prohibition. Code enforcement has successfully cracked down on illegal short-term vacation rental operations. At what time we had more than 20 active cases. Today we have 0 active cases. We know this is going to be an ongoing issue that we have to be vigilant of, but this has been a big quality of life issue for a number of our residents, and something that code enforcement has really successfully tackled in 2021. Enforcement against nuisance properties. Code enforcement, in conjunction with the city attorney, has successfully resolved a number of nuisance property cases. High-profile examples include a residence with a significant rat infestation and a property with dangerous, unpermitted construction that ended up in receivership. We updated the safety element of the general plan. We engaged consultant Dudek to draft an update to the safety element of general plan. As required by law, the safety element was updated in conjunction with the update of the general plan housing element. We updated competitive bidding requirements. So we updated our municipal code to allow for piggybacking, giving the city greater flexibility and efficiency by taking advantage of existing competitively bid projects. And we utilized this method for the lease purchase of our fire engines and for the renovations to Fire Station 1. Updates to how we handle human resources, payroll, and workers' compensation. We contracted with CPS HR Consulting to provide as-needed human resources services, with CBiz Human Capital Management to provide payroll services, and we moved the city's workers' comp insurance to PERMA. This came out of our fire department startup. We realized that we would have to do things differently when it came to HR, that our current practices were insufficient for the level of work that we were going to be having to handle with the new fire department, and we would need someone who was well-versed in legal requirements pertaining to fire departments. It made us look at really all of our operations, our workers' comp, how we handle our deferred compensation programs, everything. So this was a big focus of our finance department in 2021. We updated our deferred compensation program and joined PARS. So we contracted with Schuster Advisory Group for plan consulting, investment advisory, and investment fiduciary services for the city's 457B deferred compensation program, and defined contribution retirement plan, PARS. We joined PARS as the retirement plan for our fire department employees. We grew the military banner program. 10 banners were installed this year, 9 of which in May ahead of Memorial Day and 1 in November in time for Veterans Day. So in total now we have 33 banners that have been placed. We have 15 spaces on light poles in the city that remain for future placement of banners, all within the town center. And April-May timeframe of this coming year will be the next opportunity for people who are interested in purchasing banners. We updated the municipal code to remove size limitations on commercial window signage. And we made an appointment to our city council. On June 23rd, the city council appointed Jennifer Dane to fill a vacancy on the city council created by the passing of former councilman Jordan Ehrenkrantz. I mention this as an accomplishment because, as you may recall, the last time before this, the city had a vacancy. We realized that the city really didn't have a procedure established in place for handling this. And so the city council did adopt a procedure to be followed when should it ever occur again, and it did in 2021. And I have to say the appointment process functioned the way that the council envisioned it to. It's an accomplishment because there were other cities in Riverside County in 2021 that had vacancies, and those processes did not go quite as well. We did it civilly. The council was able to come to a decision, which not all cities were able to do in 2021. And if I do say so, I think the result was phenomenal. So, we actually did it legally. Yes. This was a
nice process.
Anyone can borrow our process if they want to.
That's right. So these were kind of some of the big things. And of course, there are many, many other things that were done in 2021. But I think this highlights some of the bigger ticket items, which leads us to 2022. So the list that's before you is a proposed list. And I put this list together based on feedback that I received from members of the city council, based on discussions that I've had with staff, and with just kind of general knowledge of the direction the city's going in and the direction I feel the council wants to go in. That being said, the list of items in front of you is a recommendation only from your staff on what we think you would like to see as goals for 2022. Certainly, it is the council's prerogative to set these goals and to make any changes or additions or subtractions or do whatever you want with these goals, but this is staff's recommendation. Number one, we really need to spend some time this year fine-tuning operations of new departments and programs, including the fire department, the building department, the EMS subscription program, the residential rental program. Over the last couple of years, this city has done a lot. We've established new departments, we've established new programs, and it's been a bit of a whirlwind. Staff is feeling that we really need to slow down a little bit and take a year to fine-tune everything, to make sure that these programs are being implemented in the best way possible. We've been so busy that little details just we haven't had time to address. A recent example is that we realized that our new fire personnel were looking to the city's website to better understand the EMS subscription program. we hadn't had a chance to update the city's website page on the EMS subscription program. And so we had to pull that down, and we need to take some time to go through and make sure the information on the website is reflective of the changes that were made to the program this year. It's one small example. There's probably 24 similar examples. We really need to just take a breath and fine-tune what has been implemented the last couple of years here in the city. So that is the first recommended goal. The second is to implement employee cross-training for organizational resilience. As I see it, one of our biggest weaknesses as an organization is that we're not cross-trained. We don't have deep departments with lots of staff. So if someone goes out, we have plenty of people that can just step up in that department and know how to do the job. We have a lot of key people who are the only people in their department, or maybe there's 2 people in a department. If that person goes out for an extended period of time, we're really in a world of hurt. And we have one employee who I would put in that category who is pregnant and will be going out in a few months. And while I'd like to do cross-training with our existing, I know you're wondering who that is. You know. It's not me. While I'd love to just do cross-training with our existing staff are so busy, I can't take them away from what they're doing in their day job to cross-train in another department. And so when we come next month for our mid-year budget, we're going to recommend an additional staff position, an administrative assistant position that can be cross-trained in the finance department, in the city clerk's department, and in the duties of the administrative services manager, and be an assistant to the city manager, and so that when there are people out, this person can step in. In addition, this person can relieve people in other departments so that they can come and cross-train. So we'd really like to put together a pretty robust cross-training program in 2022, just to build some resilience into our organization. The third recommended goal is one you've seen before, is to continue moving economic development initiatives forward, including looking at annexing developable parcels, continuing to pursue acquisition of BLM land, to finalize the town center specific plan, and to complete improvements to our investment properties. Fourth, to finalize the plan and begin implementation of our ARPA funding projects. So we've discussed this in the past and have kind of come up with a draft list of a couple of programs that would support local businesses, a city hall renovation project, which would include moving the council chambers upstairs to the former library space, possibly elimination of the EVMWD ponds. I will say that towards the end of last week, the Department of Finance threw us a curveball on this, which is generally seen as a positive thing, but makes more work for us in the short term. This list was based on a very restrictive criteria of ways the money could be spent. The new rules that came out establish a $10 million cap, or not a cap, a threshold. Anything below that $10 million, you can pretty much spend it on anything. Since our entire allotment is $2.7 million, looks like we can pretty much spend it on anything. So that's great, but it also means that we got to go back and take a look at our priorities. I imagine that the council will probably still want to support local businesses any way we can. I imagine we'll still want to move forward with the City Hall renovation project. The EVMWD ponds, we are working on scheduling a meeting with EVMWD to talk more specifics, although at the roundtable meeting this week, we were told by EVMWD staff that in looking at the numbers more carefully, they think that number may be a lot higher than what we were originally told. So instead of being in the $1 million range, it might be closer to the $3 million range, which might take that project off of our priority list for ARPA funding. We have to have the ARPA funds committed by the end of 2024, and the funds have to be spent by the end of 2026. So this year, we really need to finalize what that plan is going to be, and ideally, we'd like to start moving forward on some of the projects this year as well. 5, improve safety on Railroad Canyon Road. So we are currently working on our local road safety plan. We should have that coming forward in the next couple of months. And then enhanced enforcement as well. We're very excited about the additional funding that the Sheriff's Department was able to get for us so that we can have some DUI checkpoints a few times throughout the year here in Canyon Lake. I also know that, as you may recall recently, they had a day where they were really out in force all along Railroad Canyon Road through Menifee, Canyon Lake, and Lake Elsinore. And we're gonna do that again 3 or 4 times in 2022. And so we just want to focus on improving safety on Railroad Canyon Road however we can. And the last recommended goal is to expand community services and community outreach. So this is something we've heard from the council. The events the city has put on have gone over exceedingly well. We want to be able to continue doing these events, maybe expand upon community services. And then we really want to work on community outreach, especially with the launch of our new fire department. I think this is going to be a big year for community outreach for the city.
So this is market night?
It could be market night, yes. It could be market night. Could be, helping with a lifeguard program.
Right.
Could be,
Lifeguard
things,
program.
right? Yes. That was my idea. Just kidding, just kidding.
Give you whatever credit you want, as long as it happens.
So that's what staff put together for recommended goals. This would be a great time if the council has any thoughts or would like to see any changes or additions or subtractions.
Yep, let's go ahead and let's go through the list. If you don't mind, Councilwoman Castillo starting us off. We'll kind of just work our way around,
Okay.
if that's okay with you.
Yeah, just
Okay.
on general thoughts.
General thoughts, what you think, if you're good with it, make some adjustments.
I noticed that we had less goals, but I think more comprehensive goals, and I'm good with that. I think that there's a good breadth of projects that are on the horizon. I personally am highly in agreement with number 1. I think that should be how the last year's goals, number 1 was bold. I think that this could also be emphasized, because I think that's exactly where we need to go. Is we can't continue to be progressive if things fall through the cracks. So I think that's very important. And then just from my own personal, wish list, I'm grateful to see number 6 on there, because I think that you get a lot of community buy-in when they're included. And I believe that we've been heading in the right direction with that. I've seen Tyler doing videos. I think all of that needs to continue, and I'm on board.
Thank you.
Perfect. Councilwoman Dane?
I agree. I think they're good goals. I'm especially drawn to number 2 with the cross-training. I think with what everybody has been through in the last couple of years, it's very important to be able to have people cross-train. And that's always been something that I've been, that's been important to me, but very important now, especially where you just need to make sure that there's always going to be someone there to do the job. Yeah, no, I think they're good.
Perfect. Mayor Pro Tem Green?
I believe everything on our stated goals, or accomplished goals, not accomplished, but stated goals for 22 is appropriate, because we do need fine tuning of our departments in order to be successful for the future. One that I do really like is number 3, because we need, and this is my estimation, all these got to be tied to number 3, because as we develop a long-range plan on whatever that plan's going to be, economic development's got to be a key part of it. And so we lay the groundwork now for that plan to evolve and to be addressed and to be incorporated into many other documents other than goals. And there'll be budget documents, there'll be management documents, So I think that from that, this is very comprehensive. I think these are doable and they're measurable. So I think they meet the 22 goals that I'd be looking for.
Perfect. Thank you. Councilmember Welty?
A couple comments. I know we want to be hesitant to add too many goals, but I'd like to consider a couple here. One, I like the goal number 9 from last year, which was build and maintain positive regional relationships. I like the way that at the end of the year, you came up and said, here's what I did last year on the goals. I think having that stay more of a documentation point, because I don't think it's going to require any more effort rather than just to say, you know, next year when we do this, we're going to look at our relationships with the outside. So I think number 9 should be moved over to number 7. And again, I don't see it as a staff demand. It's just, we don't want to lose sight of that. That's important to me, so.
Correct, yeah, that's something we would certainly continue to do. So I agree, I wouldn't see it as extra work, and if it's something the council would like to see on the list of goals, I think that's, staff would be happy to do that, have that added.
Okay, and I guess one more thing is to look at is our relationships with our business community. I don't know how to word it or what to say about it, except for that we don't have anything in here that says, let's develop great relationships with the people that provide business in the community. So maybe the council can come up with some ideas on how to maybe state it. Maybe the general manager, Christian, could come up and say, how do I make this goal that we develop better relationships with the people that do business in our community? So
Foster and enhance the business community interaction with the city of Canyon Lake through proactive programs, assistance, I don't know.
Foster and enhance relationships with the business community?
Something on that level that would open, like we've done this year, when we would research what is available for funding for COVID, or helping the business stay open, or approving outdoor dining. Those things all came in just because of that one event. So I think for us to be proactive in that, we can't probably name everyone, because there's some of this stuff we react to just because it's put in our lap. So something that's really open, but yet we can selectively pick pieces.
How about find ways to support
explore
the business community, explore ways to support the business community.
There you go.
Or to support local
explore
businesses.
and continue to support, because we already support them in some ways.
Explore ways to continue to support the local businesses.
support and enhance relationships with local businesses, maybe.
I think, we're doing it with our ARPA funding. We're going to look at solutions to help the community in regards to the business side of it. And I always look at it as cutting the red tape, right? Let's make a streamlined approach to City Hall, to our businesses, and be supportive. We did that as well when we had COVID. Casey and I, we did the first ever business roundtable outreach program virtually, and then that led to not requiring them to pay a business license fee. So we have done some pretty cool stuff, but I think it's something, at least for me, there's 3 business owners that are on this dais, and I think that's always been the thesis of what we do. So I think it should definitely be said that the city will continue to cut the red tape for our businesses and be a strong advocate. Don't put it that way, that's too political, but, put it that, that's gonna be our focus, is to make it easy to do business in Canyon Lake. I think that's important. The only other goal that I really want on this list, because it's been a passion of mine ever since day one, and we've flirted with it, we just haven't gone all the way. We brought the first ever joint POA water board meeting to the community that's ever been done. And we finally, I think we're at a place where the POA and the city are talking and they're doing things, but we haven't broke bread yet. We haven't done something of substantial, of partnership, whether it's with our building department, whether it's with public safety, whatever that might be. I would love to see, and probably we're going to have the opportunity in our joint meeting to have that discussion. But I think we put that as a goal that the city moves forward with at least the discussion of doing something with the POA and we don't give up. And, you know, hopefully we can come together on a vision for that.
How about, I'm just thinking of wording, explore partnership opportunities with the POA?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think it's very simple. And I don't, unless anyone up here disagrees with me, Dale, I think that would be a good help for you too, just because you're, out of everyone here, you're the one who came from the board last, and I think, you know, your relationships would really help us achieve that goal, and bring something actually tangible between the two entities.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Okay.
Maybe an MOU
Yep.
of how we support each other. I don't know.
Maybe a security contract. I'm just
Hey,
saying. Hey,
I don't know.
we got a pretty cool code enforcement. Maybe an auto aid agreement. I'm just saying. You know?
Maybe a dues revenue sharing agreement.
You know? Well, thanks, Chris. You're in that goal.
Just kidding.
We're doing
just
good,
kidding,
too.
just kidding.
But I will echo what Councilwoman Castillo and others have said, that the bad part about goals is it's always you look for that number and you think, oh, if there's not a substantial number there, there's not a lot going on. But this city has done so much. And like Mayor Pro Tem Green said, if we don't sit back a little bit and fine tune some of the programs that we put forth, we're going to unfortunately fail. And I think for me, I think it would be important that we focus on what we've already created and make them perfect, so we know we're not going to lose them. And I think this list of goals do that with a couple add-ons that we've added tonight. But I'm extremely ecstatic with what we've done, and it's pretty incredible when you think about it, that much has happened in the last 3 years. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. So anyways, I'm good. You guys good? Good. Want to add anything else? Everyone's good? We don't want to get to an even 10? Just kidding. Just kidding. Are we at 8 right now?
6, 7, 8, yes.
Cool.
7, 8, maybe at 9. We added the POA relationship, the business relationship, and added back in our old number 9, which was
Regional.
regional.
We can't do odd numbers. We have to do even. Does anyone have one more thing?
Or we could take one away.
We can't.
Make the staff life easier. Can you put that as number 10?
So with that, the recommendation is that the city council adopt goals for the 2022 calendar year as presented and agreed upon during discussion on this item.
I love it.
Okay.
I need wait, got any public comments on this? Good. I need a motion.
Motion.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Green, say it, Mr. Welty.
Second.
All right, Councilmember Welty on second. I need a roll call.
Councilmember Castillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Dane?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Green?
Aye.
Councilmember Welty?
Aye.
Mayor Smith?
Aye, congratulations.
Motion carried to adopt the 2022 city council goals.
Here we go.
All
I can't
right.
believe it's 2022 already. All right, moving right along. City manager comments. I think you're out of breath.
Just very briefly, just a reminder that the February city council meeting will not be on the first Wednesday of the month, but it will be on the second Wednesday of the month, which is February 9th. And speaking of February, our goal is to have a public grand opening, ribbon cutting for the fire department in the latter half of February. We are hopeful, I really like for all of our vehicles to be here, our new vehicles, when we do that. So we're hoping that'll happen in February, but if it's a difference of a week or two, I think it's worth waiting to have everything there.
Absolutely.
Show the community everything that we've brought in for the new department. So as soon as we have a more solid timeframe on delivery, then we can nail down a date that works for everybody for that.
I think the sheriff's department's also offered their food truck too, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
So they're going to partner up with us, which is going to be really cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations on not having to do jury duty too, by the way.
Oh, yes, thank you.
That's a
Thank
big,
you.
we made some serious
I
phone
was
calls.
sweating that. I was sweating
So
that, yeah.
everything's closed, so you're good. All right, next we're going to go on to council member comments. Get used to it, folks, because I'm going to mix it up every single time, so who knows who I'm going to call on next. Councilmember Welty, you're up. 3 minutes.
Oh, thank you. I can get in and out quickly.
In and out
After I
quickly.
do my 3 minutes, I would be
But
questioned.
you don't know who's going to be next, so
Okay.
3 minutes.
Just discussion. I just started my WR cog directorship, I guess it is.
That's right.
And had a little orientation, and we also had a meeting today about strategic goals, and so this is kind of familiar territory, so I'm excited to be part of that. It's kind of new to me. The roundtable was great when we have that. I tell you, the way we communicate with each other, the POA, the city, the water district is pretty amazing. And just a couple of things that we discussed at some length. One was how do we streamline the event permitting process so that it isn't just this crazy process every time somebody wants to have a grandma's birthday at the lodge or something. So we're going to hopefully work through that and come up and streamline that. I think that's a good idea. The other thing that's really critically important is the POA road project and how it's going to impact our safety services. So it was a great opportunity for everyone to sit down and say, wow, so we're not going to have roads now. How do we get our fire equipment somewhere? So it was good that everybody sat in the room and one, worked out some of the major things, and second of all, discussed how are they going to work out the small things. So that was a good thing. I think I hit my 3 minutes or 2 minutes.
You're
40
perfect.
seconds.
You're perfect. Councilwoman Castillo?
Okay, thank you. I went to Coffee with the Mayor today, which was cool to
Be on the other
not be
side?
the mayor, but
Yeah,
sit there
absolutely.
and listen. And there was a great turnout, and so I was very pleased about that because it shows that the community is interested in continuing to do that.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, great for everyone involved. I'll let you talk about the next one, but I just want to highlight that I think if you haven't been to one of those, you should go because not only is it feedback from your electeds, but other community members. And so we had really great dialogue. I haven't really been doing much because my new committees really kind of go towards the end of the year, but I'm excited to contribute. I think this is going to be a great year. And I'm just really, again, just very impressed with the progress of the fire department in 12 days. So, great job.
Love it. Councilwoman Dane?
I also have not started any of my committees yet, but I'm very much looking forward to the new year and to being able to do more and participate more. I just really wanted to thank all of the city employees for some great events. The State of the City was great. Everybody had a
Oh,
good
yeah.
time. I think those kind of events can be kind of hard and stuffy and boring, and it wasn't.
Not at all.
Everybody loved it.
Phenomenal job.
So great job with that, and just for everybody's hard work in getting the fire department open. We talked earlier to the chief about it, but just to really acknowledge how much the city staff did to make that happen. And that's it.
Awesome. Mayor Pro Tem Green?
Geez, I've been busy. All my stuff met. The RCA really run really quick. There's a person by the name of Susan Nank from the Friends of North San Jacinto. They want to donate 2,700 acres of land to RCA to fill in the MSHCP. Unfortunately, there must be some issues with it because they're requesting a public hearing, which we don't normally do full public hearings for, which means it's open to the public to speak. Usually those are done by the enclosed door. So anyway, it's being discussed in closed session legal counsel of why they want that. We have the right-of-way manual policy for MSHCP is out. It's been approved by RCA. It's going to go to RTA for their approval next month. So it's basically the manual on how you acquire land, how it's used, how the MSHCP is affected. There's 13 chapters, so that's really going to be good for a planning document for those cities that are planning. We approved our goals. We attained, Ann Meyer said we gave the body that took us over a set of goals to complete. They were all completed for 21. We completed a survey for RCA on what RCA should look like and what they should focus on. in the next 5 years. So I participated in that, and I didn't realize they were going to use our names when they did the results, but they did, which was fine. And the species of the month is the golden eagle, and it is not breeding as much as it was. 164,390 acres are needed for that bird, for its habitat, for its nest. In our land that we have acquired for RCA right now, 14,000 acres. So we have a bit to go. And I did meet with the Emergency Preparedness Committee on the 5th of January. There wasn't very many people. Mike and I were there. We're going to do a CPR class for them in February, hands only. We'll see how many people show. They want to coordinate. Jim Locken, I think he's probably met with you. He is the lead ham. He's a good guy and would like to be included in the transfer however they do it. They've got some kind of a antenna issue, a big mast that is part of the, probably is 6 meter. So however it gets transferred, he's a good guy to be in contact with. They did talk about the response trailer that's up there, which is the shelter response trailer that was provided to us by the county. I believe it has the capability of at least 100 people. It's got a generator in it and stuff. And they were saying that the tires might look a little iffy. So outside of that, it's been a great 21. I'm glad it's gone. 22 is going to be good. And I'm glad we're moving at the speed we are.
Absolutely. Good job. All right, a couple things. Thank you, Councilwoman Castillo, for joining us this morning. It was awesome. I'm so excited to continue that. I know you worked hard on that last year. We are going to be hosting another event on January 20th, which is at the Country Club. We had a few people reach out to us asking us to do an event in the evening, since folks obviously are at work at 8 a.m. So we're doing one at 6 o'clock at the Country Club. It'll be a social event, so there'll be appetizers and it'll be a good time, and that's going to be with the POA. Renee will be there, Tim Cook will be there, President Burke will be there. I think Councilwoman Castillo is going to be there too. It will be a social event, so feel free to join if you're available.
Can we join? Can we be there without violating the
With
Brown
this
Act?
type of event, we can.
Well, Mayor Smith, let me ask you, so we talked about this a little bit before you had mentioned it to me. So the Coffee with the Mayor event, I think, is where this came from, and then my understanding is that residents reached out and said, well, it's great that you do it, but I can't make it in the morning. Can we do something in the evening? Is that correct? Is that what this is?
Yeah, sorry, you guys aren't invited.
Yeah.
So
My assumption is the hope of these people is to discuss city
It
issues
is.
that could be, so then we really should just have 2 members of the council.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Darcy is going to be there. We're trying to make it a social event, but the conversation is going to be more policy driven. So I think, Matt, Casey, you can attend, right? If not, unless someone else.
I've been going, so if Larry, you want to.
Yeah, if someone else wants to go.
Well, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure if I showed up, like at the coffee event, and you were there or something, it doesn't create us to get in.
Correct.
Somebody's going to say, whoa. We wouldn't.
Right.
And probably hardly anyone. But if John's sitting there having.
Yeah.
He would be the first to call the
It's a good
city
point.
attorney.
It's a good point.
So I think if you are there to hear or discuss city business, then it does fall within the definition of a meeting. There is an exception for purely ceremonial or social occasions, and it doesn't sound like that's the intent.
I can present a cert if we want to.
But it has to be purely that the entire time. So I think you're being wise and being cautious on
Perfect.
this, Mayor.
Okay.
You want
You guys could, no, go ahead. That's fine.
You
'Cause
good?
We got to go on the 31st also.
Correct.
March 31st.
March 31st. That's the joint POA,
That's the joint
actually
POA.
public meeting, so that's going to be a different ballgame. But for this, and I'm glad we're having this discussion because we're going to make these announcements as we're doing them. We're not going to do them every month, meaning we'll do the coffee in the morning and then the evening one will probably rotate every other month. It's just a lot. But I do want to make sure that we have other colleagues there and we're mixing it up
So
and whatnot.
Maybe after you do this one, we'll talk about maybe.
Perfect.
One of us may want to go. I don't mind going because I like to have contact with people.
Yeah.
But I'm the last to walk in the room and all of a sudden somebody's going to say, whoa.
Right. I'm glad we're having the discussion. So, all right, so we'll work that one out on, that's going to be next Thursday at 6 o'clock. In regards to committee meetings, it's been busy. I like you, Larry, we met pretty much throughout. So we have a new chair over at RTA, and that's Zach. He's a council member down in Temecula. And they appointed me as second vice chair for RTA, so that's exciting. And then in regards to RCTC, projects have been moving along pretty successfully. They just opened up the westbound 91 lane, and this is a non-toll loan lane, so this is for our Orange County commuters. So RCTC's been crushing it out of the park with some of these projects, and things are moving along quite nicely. In regards to one other update that I love giving, which is our real estate update for Canyon Lake. December, we are now, let's see here, from 2020 to 2021, our home values have increased 14.3%. Canyon Lake in 2020 had a median price of $525,000, and that has now jumped up to $600,000. And the average home on the market is $689,000 with about 2,200 square foot. So interesting data. When we look at month by month, for just the month of December, we had, let's see here, we had in 2019, we had 19 sales. In 2020, we had 34 sales. And in 2021, we actually had 34 sales too. I bring this up because most of you know that we have a lot of activity in the real estate space in our community, and it's interesting to see how many people are coming in. What's really interesting when you look at the demographics of those folks, over 80% of the people that are buying home in Canyon Lake are actually younger than 40 years old. So our median age group continues to be that 42 to 45, and it's showing so with new purchases and new homeowners in our community. So it's definitely an interesting time. Other than that, I think that's all I have to report on. SCAG continues to spend the taxpayers' dollars, and nothing good to report out of that. And with that in mind, Madam Clerk, do you have anything?
I just wanted to confirm with the council, the joint meeting with the POA and EVMWD. I had proposed March 31st at 6 o'clock. I've heard back from the majority of you, just making sure that that works. But if you haven't gotten back to me, please talk to me after the meeting, or just respond to the email, just so I can confirm with those agencies. Mr.
City Attorney, since the meeting was brought up, are we allowed to discuss possible items to discuss in that meeting?
If you want to talk about, give direction to the staff about things that you'd like to be on the agenda, great. But don't fall into that trap of beginning to debate those items at this meeting. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
We would never. Come on. We've got too many people in the audience. I, for one, and I briefly mentioned it, I think there's going to be a great opportunity. The city manager, I had a conversation looking at the format of the meeting. One of them is definitely going to be an update from our fire chief, looking at the direction of where we're at, give a little presentation on it. But also, I would like to have a conversation with the POA in regards to possibly looking at their security contract and looking at the possibility of taking that over with our code enforcement, and at least bridge the gap of discussion. I've already talked to a couple board members, and they absolutely love the idea. I know that our city attorney has seen other entities work with a private entity in regards to a municipality before, so there could be a partnership there.
Certainly worth discussing with the.
Absolutely. So that's one thing that I would like to see in discussion for this meeting. If anyone else has any ideas. Nope. Cool.
Causeway fishing.
Causeway fishing? I like it. You got my interest now. Causeway fishing, please. Are we good? Okay.
I think those are two good ones, so I'll make sure that I make note of that when I talk to them. And
in regards to EVMWD, Darcy was at our roundtable event that we had yesterday, and she even mentioned that a discussion of public safety from their platform would be important too, because they're dealing with vandalism issues at their plant in Lake Elsinore. So she also said that would be a great topic for us to go with.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Was that okay, Mr. City Attorney? Okay, perfect. With that.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Do we have our point in time count yet?
We'll have to ask the Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department is the city's representative in the point-in-time count, and I haven't got an update on that.
It occurred to me when Jeremy was giving the real estate update. That's all.
Canyon Lake's number typically hovers around 0.
Right, I just want to make sure it stays there.
Although there is an individual that regularly uses the restroom in City Hall to clean up. But,
At City Hall?
yeah.
I thought
It's
we were
an
done
issue-
with
It's an
that.
issue we're working
Are we
on.
talking about?
Stephen, you can come
Are we
over
talking about the
anytime.
homeless count?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure that we have dispatched everybody and looked at all the nooks and crannies, but there are a couple of places that have potential.
Microphone, turn your microphone.
Sure.
You're good, it's on. Talk into the microphone, there we go.
Historically, the Sheriff's Department has represented the city at the planning meetings, and also done the count for us in Canyon Lake. So,
Okay.
I think they take take mercy on, what's the right word? They recognize that we have a small staff, and they kind of take that on for us. So I'm not sure where all they look, or if they're familiar with all of the nooks and crannies in the community where people may be. I would assume the Sheriff's Department should know those things. Hopefully they do. But I haven't seen results yet.
All right, is there any other announcements? That's where I'm categorizing it, Mr. City Attorney, under announcements. All right, the next regular meeting will be on Wednesday, February 9th at 5 p.m. for closed session and 6:30 p.m. for open session. I'm going to call the meeting adjourned at 8:51. Thank you, everyone.